Arena feels like it's too ambitious for the hardware limitations of 1994. Despite this, there is the spark of something there, something that I think must have been refined over the subsequent games and has caused the Elder Scrolls series to become so beloved. Arena is vast. Yes, the game starts the player off in a small dungeon, but upon escaping to a town, there's an entire world to explore with only the vaguest sense of guidance. For me, the scope became overwhelming, but only because I didn't know what I was doing. I also wonder if the graphical limitations help create this illusion of depth. It's easy to marvel at the scope of the world when you can only see a few feet in front of you at any given time. Already I can guess that despite there being a whole world to explore, there are only so many art assets and quest types, and sooner or later one dungeon and fetch quest is going to melt into the next. Like all games from GOG, this came with manuals. I skimmed them, wanting to figure out how to play the game myself. That turned out to be a mistake. It took me about 5 minutes and 2 deaths before I worked out that I had to mimic the art of swinging my sword with the right mouse button. I spent the majority of an hour searching every shop I could find in town to find the right place to turn in a quest, before I worked out I could actually ask town members for the location of individual shops. I took a wander outside the town, thinking that I might be able to find more quests there, or at least start walking towards the town I needed to travel towards to start the main quest. I got lost. I thought the map might be looping because I kept coming across the same patterns in the road, and since the map only shows a small cross-section, I had no idea where I was meant to travel. After an hour or two of wandering, I had a closer read of the player's guide and learned about the world map and fast travel by right-clicking on the map icon, and that would have come in handy. During my outdoor travels, I came across a couple of dungeons. The one I felt comfortable actually tackling showed off the potential for exploring a small slice of the world and being rewarded for it. I loved walking into a room and finding a big clump of treasure on the ground. What makes the dungeons tense is that it feels like the enemies are determined by a random table. At any point, the dice can roll and a goblin or lizard man can start hacking into your back. Most foes I could put down easy enough, but encountering a human always ended with a death and a reload. I leveled up a couple of times in my dungeon travels, so I imagined eventually I'd be able to take these thieves and mages on with little trouble. And while finding the gold was a great feeling, since I geared up at an equipment shop before leaving town, I never found any weapons or armor that seemed worth picking up. I bet that changes, because a rule I've always tended to follow in RPGs is to never buy from a shop. You'll always find something worthwhile or better out adventuring. If anything, playing Arena has made me more excited to play the future games in the Elder Scrolls series, which I will be doing over the coming months. The only entry I've ever put any significant time into is Morrowind. As I said, there's a spark here in Arena, and I can't wait to see the potential of exploring a world, finding treasure, and building a character realized as the series continues. I imagine that future installments are going to have to sacrifice some of the feeling of vastness Arena contains, but I think I'd be okay with sacrificing some freedom for more structure and a greater sense of purpose, at least with the mechanics. We'll find out if that's the case when I play Daggerfall. So, should you play the Elder Scrolls Arena? Well, if you're an Elder Scrolls fan and you'd like to see the genesis of the series, it's probably going to be instructive to give this game a play. If you have a fondness for early 90s computer RPGs, if you like when sprites are used to create the illusion of a 3D space, or if you remember playing this game when it came out, those are all good reasons for giving it a try. On the other hand, the game is quite unforgiving, and while a more thorough reading of the manual and player's guide would have helped me out, it's not going to make this as smooth an experience as one might be used to. The game is definitely a product of its time, and while impressive in that context, it can be rough to play. There's a lot of saving and loading too. As always, I'd love to hear what you think of Arena and this video down in the comments. If you'd like to help me out, why not buy me a coffee? There's a link in the description. If you'd like to help in other ways, please give the video a like, share it on your favorite social media sites, or subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I hope you're all having a wonderful day.